So you notice, yeah, we haven't cropped the image. We haven't actually adjusted the straightness. And the reason I wanted to do that was I wanted to show this app. It's kind of relatively new, and basically this is an app for adjusting the straighten. It's like a straightening tool. Basically, it allows you to make some important adjustments to the perspective that you're wanting to show. So, and the reason I'm showing is because it's a really, really powerful tool. You notice here that the grid is a lot more detailed, and it's pretty intuitive. You can just swipe this way and that, and it provides you a really good tool for basically straightening your image, right? And so I'm just gonna do this to show you the extreme, but it shows you where you've begun. And this is basically to account for those little imperfections of like how you may have been holding the camera when you took the photo, or in the case of this, is probably these buildings they weren't built exactly perpendicular to each other. So again, you can just save it to your camera roll, and we can keep rolling. All right, so next on our exciting tour of editing apps, Photoshop Express. So Photoshop Express is another one of those apps that is like really diverse. It's really well-rounded. You can do all sorts of things. You can adjust contrast and brightness, and these basically has filters that you can go through. I don't use any of that. We're not even going to talk about that stuff. The thing that I like to use is like to use their noise reduction tool. And what I really like about that is that you can get really granular. You can go in here and look at the detail. And with reduced noise, basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a slight adjustment to that. And often this adjustment is pretty subtle, but it's just going to like completely smooth out. It's going to reduce any of that grain that you might have in an image. And it's going to, I don't know, it's going to basically make your photo look like you captured it with like a DSLR and not an iPhone. Okay, so this is my favorite editing app, and the reason it's my favorite is because it's like really fun to use. So this is Touch Retouch. What you want Touch Retouch for is basically to get rid of blemishes. So let's see. Let's take a look at the photo that we've been working with. Now let's take a look and see if there's any blemishes in here. Let's just say that there's something in your image that is distracting you, right? And maybe it's this, I don't know, maybe it's this little street lamp right here. I don't like that street lamp. I don't like that little glowy street lamp. So I wanna get rid of it. So if I come over here, this little paintbrush tool, and you can adjust the size of that paintbrush to affect the area that you wanna do. And basically I'm gonna bring it about the size of that right there. And then I'm gonna go over it, and I'm gonna highlight the area that I want to affect, which is basically just that little street lamp dot. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just get rid of that black post that it's sitting on too. Okay, see what I've done there? Then you hit the little play button, and that little guy's gonna vanish. I don't really know how it does it. I just know that it's really cool and I like to use it. So we're gonna go to the next app. Now, you don't have to go through 6 apps every time that you want to post to Instagram. I'm just kind of showing you. I think with each of these, you know, basically they're good enough that you can like do everything all in one. They can all crop, they can all do a lot of things. I just wanted to highlight some of my favorite apps. So this is Afterlight. The reason I wanted to show you this app actually was just for this one purpose. You notice that I haven't cropped the image into a square yet. You obviously need to post something that's square on Instagram, but if you have a wider shot, either that you've taken with your iPhone, and you want to, if you basically want to turn that into a square photo, you can do that by coming over to this tool here on the far right, that little square icon, and then hitting that button Original. And then if I hit this thing right here in the middle, this little guy, which looks like an 11, I don't know how to describe all this. I've now added like white background to my image. You can adjust that and make it a black background if you wanted to, right? But why am I choosing white? I'm choosing white because when you post to Instagram, it's like a white background. So if you have a black background, it's gonna look really weird on your feed. But if you put a white background, it'll look kind of seamless. It'll look like it'll sort of maintain the integrity of the photo. So I'm going to come back into ViscoCam for 1 second because I'm going to go to the image that we had last saved, and I'm going to use this actually to make a square crop. So I'm going to come back to the tools. I'm going to come to the cropping tool, and basically I'm going to crop it. So cropping is basically the last step. My recommendation is that you should do all your editing before you crop it. It's not necessary. Whatever feels good for you. Sometimes when you crop it into a square, you might realize like, you know what? Now I want to adjust the straightening a little bit again. You've come a little closer. You might notice something that feels like, you might want to make a little bit of an adjustment. But I would say hold off on the adjustment, because the straightening tool in Instagram is actually like really good, and that'll be our last stop.